Dallas, WDXC, the legend, and it's time for Friends and Neighbors with yours truly. And my friend today is Alexis Morales, otherwise known as Sensei, more commonly known as Sensei, the karate instructor here. Come, scoot up to the mic just a little bit there. And how are you today?
I'm feeling good, thank you.
Thanks for being here this morning. You and I have talked about you coming for a while. You finally here.
Yes, sir, I am.
Finally here.
Yeah.
Finally here. Well, I'm glad you came in, and we're going to hopefully talk with you about your story, your backstory. But before we do all that, tell us a little bit about, current day, what you've got going on. I know you have the karate studio here.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know all the proper terminology, but it's the Lion
Karate
Dojo.
Dojo. Yes.
All right. And you got lots of students.
Yes, I've been blessed to be able to help many, many lives.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, how many classes are you having now?
Well, right now we have 4 classes, starting from the age of 3 to 103.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir. Because I like to start them young to get them on a nice journey.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the younger you start them, the better it is.
How long have you been instructing?
Well, Jeff, one of the perks about getting old is when you think you know everything, you start to forget it. I opened my first dojo in 1976.
1976?
Yes, that's when I founded the Lion Karate Dojo, so it's been a while, maybe 47.
Now, where was your original studios?
I was up north, New York, New Jersey.
New York, New Jersey?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes, it's...
Well, what I want to get to, of course, one of the things, I don't know if you've watched our show, maybe you have, is I like to get people's personal story.
Yes, sir.
And you have an interesting background. You weren't born in the United States.
Oh, no, so I've had a journey on this planet that many have not, but with the help of God, I've survived many incidents, situations, which is what I tell people: when you walk with the Lord, you'll be able to do anything.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So you came, where were you born?
Well, I was born in this little island called Cuba.
Cuba.
Yes.
What was now? And I know I'm not trying to age you, but you've been on the planet for a little while. When were you born?
I was born way back, about 5 years ago, plus 65.
What year were you born?
54.
54.
Yes, sir.
Well, what was it like in Cuba when you were a boy?
Oh, well, when I was a little boy, it was wonderful. Cuba was a great place to visit, beautiful beaches, and the weather was always beautiful all year round.
Yeah.
And people were very friendly. I kind of lived more or less in the country kind of side of Cuba, which people were very, very kind, just like they are here too.
Yeah.
But people here are very kind. So it was a place where you wanted to visit, where you wanted to be, until something really bad happened there.
Yeah.
Which is why we had to leave Cuba.
Well, tell me about your family, though, before the bad happened.
Okay.
Give me a little background into your family and why maybe they were even in Cuba. I mean, I want you to go way back.
Oh, my goodness.
Give me a little family history.
Well, my family, I don't know a lot about them, just because, like I said, I had to leave them very early. But my family lived in Cuba, I guess, all their lives. My dad... I'm not sure too much about my dad, but he had what you call a plantain farm.
Yes.
And it's funny how you only remember certain things that I guess dramatize you when you're little. They just And the last thing I remember about my dad is we're riding a horse on this plantain field.
Yes.
And it started pouring rain.
Oh, right.
And he takes me off the horse, and we get under this huge plantain tree to cover us from the rain.
Yeah.
And I just remember that because it was like a fun event with him.
Well, you were very, very small.
Yes, sir.
You were very small.
I was about 5 when that happened.
Yeah, and you had to leave Cuba at an early age. So what prompted that? What happened?
Okay, well, it's very hard for me to I didn't prepare for this, but it's very hard for me to think of it because it's very emotional to have to leave your entire family. I left at the age of 7, Jeff, which is, they called it the exodus of the Cuban children, which, by the way, even Mel Gibson, he wrote Senator Mel Martinez wrote a book about it, from Castro's Cuba to the U.S. freedom, we'll say, because what happened was, at 7 years old, me and I think a few thousand children had to leave Cuba by themselves without their parents. So imagine at 7 years old having to leave not just your house, but a whole country to another country. You know, because I've had children myself, and I can't imagine one of my little babies at 7 years old having to let them go, which I know my mother went through a lot of pain, Jeff, just to do that. That's why they even call them heroes, because they did it because the government was going to take us all.
Yeah.
Yes, and just, you know, we weren't our parents anymore. We were now the government's.
Yes.
And so I landed here in America all by my little self, and I was blessed. We landed in Miami, and
do you remember how that took place? I mean, how did that happen? Because I'm trying to imagine, you know, what the scenery might have been like to were you put on a boat? I mean,
we were all put on a plane. And see, the thing is, they only had enough room for so much kids, so they put us on a plane, and the parents were supposed to leave afterwards.
Yes.
But they wanted us out there. They were desperate to get us out of there, so they all shipped us over here into this place called Peter Pan, Peter Pan, which was, we were blessed. There was a Catholic community in Miami that took us, and they put us there in little cots, you know, big rooms and everything. So it was kind of a strange environment, but it was a very wholesome and peaceful environment for us. We felt good.
Yeah.
They made us feel really good. And the first thing we ever got was a toothbrush with toothpaste.
Yeah.
Yes, a little cot. Then that's where we went to wait for our parents.
Okay.
To come out.
So the plan would have been for you guys to the children would be first, and
Yes.
the parents were to follow.
Yes. So, but what happened was when Fidel Castro knew about this, he stopped all the flights.
Okay.
Because he didn't want anybody else to leave the island, you know.
Okay.
But that was the plan. So all of a sudden we were all stuck here.
Yeah.
And as it went, we were all put up for temporary adoption.
Okay.
So, and I was blessed to have a wonderful family, Jeff.
Really?
And we, most of us were, because we all had a struggle. And look, I didn't speak the language. I was 7 years old, so I didn't know a lot of Spanish to begin with, but I still didn't speak the language. I didn't know anybody in this country. So that was my beginning.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is I had to grow up quickly.
Yeah.
You know, and I tell everybody that when a person has no other choice, you always look for a way. You know, no excuses.
Yeah.
You know, you make it happen.
Right.
You have to make your life happen sometimes. You can't wait for people to do it for you. You just got to make it happen,
Yeah.
Jeff. So what happened was, I'm not sure how long I was in this adoption center.
So there was a Catholic-run, church-run facility.
Yes,
that
sir.
took in all these
Yes, sir.
children from Cuba.
Yes, sir.
And you were among those.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember how many there were?
There was about 3,000 or 4,000 of us.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, there was a lot of us, yes. And you know what, Jeff? Even though we struggled here, we all made it successful.
Really?
None of us got in a bad path. You know, none of us did anything. We all became good citizens of this country.
What were the ages? I mean, I'm sure. I mean, you were young.
Yes,
5,
most
7.
of them were very young.
Very young.
Yes, sir. Most of them, but like I said, I was probably one of the younger ones.
Yes.
You know, but they were mostly early teens or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was a way to struggle that. Anyway, it was more or less like we didn't know what to do. You know, we didn't know where we were going, and so we had to adjust very quickly to our situation.
Yeah.
Waiting for our parents to come out, you know.
Right.
And we did that. So I got very lucky with this beautiful family. John and Karen Heiser, which I'm going to tell you about. And if you don't believe in miracle, I'm about to tell you a miracle.
Yeah.
Because there's many miracles on this planet that we go through. We don't even realize it.
Yes.
Because God works in very mysterious ways. And like I said, as long as you walk with Him, everything's going to be possible. I promise you that. I promise you that, because that happened to me all my life. So anyway, all of a sudden, this is another moment that I remembered in my life. The Heisers came to Miami to pick me up. And they set me up, and I'm so grateful for that place that actually adopted us, you know.
Yes.
That set us up until we can get temporary adoption. They were a blessing in our lives too. But all of a sudden they see me in this back seat of this car with John driving and Karen there. And Jeff, I remember like if it was yesterday. I look out my window and I see the sun rising.
Yeah.
And in my heart I said, I accepted right there, oh my gosh, I'm starting a new life.
Yeah.
I just felt it.
Yeah.
And I had to let everything go.
Yeah.
And just attached to these people that were going to take care of me.
Yeah.
And I remember.
Now, how old were you?
I was 7 years old.
7 years old.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Like I said,
It's unbelievable.
it is unbelievable because I work with kids. And I work with the little munchkins, they're running around and chasing me and beating me up and everything. I love it. And I work with little ones, and I cannot ever understand how, or even compensate how these little tiny precious angels can be left, go to another country by themselves.
Yeah.
And me having children myself.
But the people didn't have much choice.
No, they didn't have a choice, Jeff. That was the thing. They wanted to save our lives because we were going to be taken away from them anyway.
Yes.
That was the thing.
Yeah.
So, they wanted us to have freedom. They wanted us to have a better life.
Yeah.
Than what they were. See, people in this country, we have learned, especially us, to appreciate this country more than most people that even live here. Because we went through something that they would never imagine. Over there, we didn't have courts. We didn't have judges. If you did something wrong, they put you up against the wall and shoot you. That's the kind of environment it was. Wow. And our parents did not want us in that environment.
Why?
So that's why it was hard for them, but it was their way of saying, I want my babies to have a better life.
Yes.
So they struggled to do that. That's why they even, there was this lady that wrote a book about it, and she even put my mother's name in here about how historic these brothers were to be able to do this.
Wow.
Because you can't imagine to say goodbye to your child.
Oh, yeah.
Because, to give them freedom, And,
well, I know this must be emotional for you to even talk about.
It is.
And it's not that I'm trying to blindside you with this, but you and I have talked, and I had the privilege of selling some property for you.
Yes, sir.
So we've known each other a little bit. I know a little bit about you,
yes,
your history. And so my question is, did you ever get to hear from your parents at all after that?
Okay. After that, first of all, my mom, back in the day, she only had like an 8th grade education. She lived in the country, so we didn't have the communications like we have them now.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm going to tell you about that, too, when she came in. So it was hard for us to communicate, and at the time, I guess you call it the social worker that was taking care of our case, kind of separate our communication a little bit so these children can adapt to our parents and the new parents and not struggle.
Yes.
So the communication, we didn't have any communications with our past parents for the moment.
Yeah.
So and you know what, these people, John and Karen Heiser, which were some blessings. I'm going to tell you about who they are. They took me, and the first place I lived was a place called El Paso, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's where, from Miami, that's where we drove.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when we get to the house, the back door opens where the yard was, opens, and 4 little kids come out, which were their children.
Yeah.
And they all hugged me, Jeff. And they made me feel so loved.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I guess they talked about it. And they all hugged me. And they were smaller than me, actually. They were like, in their 5, 4, 3,
Yeah.
They were tiny little babies, and they all came out and hugged me.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I felt home.
Yeah.
I felt at home.
That's some special people that...
they were.
They knew what they were doing. Yeah.
Yes, they did. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about John, so I can tell you about a miracle that happened to me when I fast forward this a little bit. John was on a plane, I think flying to, I forget what state, to do his last vows to become a Catholic priest.
Oh, really?
When he meets Karen. Karen is a stewardess on the plane, Jeff.
Oh, really?
And they meet, and I think that's like love at first sight, something like that. So everything is possible. And they fall in love, and John decides to give up that life and raise a family under God's name with Karen.
Yes.
So he marries Karen.
Yes.
But in other words, this is the kind of soul this man, he spoke like 6 or 7 different languages.
Oh, really?
A very smart man, a very God-loving man. So he taught me a lot of morals, in the beginning of my life. And actually, I think he gave me the roots of my morals, to grow up. Because he was a fantastic man. And I was like a kind of a different little kid at the time. Because I was, being from Cuba, I get a tan, I'm like a little dark skin over there, and all these little blonde kids around, so I was very visible to everybody.
Yeah.
And but I participated in a lot of things. I became I got on a swim team, and it's funny because I was on a swim team and I was very good at it. And then from El Paso, we moved to another Lubbock, Texas, I think it was. And when I did, I joined the swim team there. And one day I had to compete against my teammates from the other team. And it was, oh my gosh, it's Alexi. We're not going to swim. He's going to beat us.
So you were good at it.
Oh yeah, I won about 50 medals, and gold medals. So but anyway, it was so funny that moment that I met my own comrades, and they were afraid to swim against me. So I knew me. That was funny. Yes, that was funny.
How old were you now? Were you still 7 when you were adopted by these?
Yes, I was. Yeah, it happened very quickly.
So it happened quickly.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank God. I only stayed at this adoption center for about 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
Before I was adopted.
Okay, so
Yes.
so they took you pretty quickly.
Yes, they
took
did.
you to Texas.
Yes, sir.
So you began to grow up there.
Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was. Let me tell you, it was a beautiful experience with them. I mean, it was God sent to take care of all these little children.
Yeah.
Because again, we were by ourselves.
So you began to get educated. You were taken care of.
Yes, sir.
And you had a family.
Yes, sir.
With brothers and sisters.
Yes, yes.
And so you began to grow up. What was school like for Alexi?
Oh, school was fun. In the beginning, they actually had to put me back 1 or 2 years because when I came from Cuba, I was like a second grade or something like that. But they actually put me maybe back in the first grade.
Yeah.
Because of my language.
Yes.
And I was smarter than everybody else in that class.
Well, now, did you speak any English at all when you came?
Oh no, nothing.
I was going to say.
Absolutely
There was
nothing.
no way, really. You could.
No.
So you had to learn English.
And you know what, Jeff? At that age, and I know because I teach kids, because not only do I teach kids how to defend themselves, how to deal with strangers and a bunch of issues, but I also teach them another language. So if I start them at 3, by the time they're with me 2 years, they're almost speaking another language. But because I was over there and I had no choice, in about 3 or 4 months, I was already speaking English.
Yeah.
That's how fast a human can learn when you have no other choice.
Yeah. Well, you have to.
Yes,
you have to figure it out.
Yes, everything is possible.
Yeah. So you were Spanish speaking.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Is there a difference in Cuban Spanish and Mexican Spanish?
Well, not really, just I guess slang or something like that, but no, it's all
really.
Spanish.
All Spanish.
Okay.
See, I don't.
Yes, some people say, do you speak Mexican? I go, what's Mexican?
It's Spanish.
It's Spanish, yes, sir.
Yes. Well, what little bit I've tried to speak Spanish is a train wreck.
Yes, I understand. Yeah.
It's a total train wreck.
When I started learning English, I realized that English is not an easy language. It's a lot more difficult than other languages because it has a lot of silent letters. You can use the word for different meanings.
Yes.
So
it's a very expressive, complex language.
Yes, sir, it is.
It is. But you've done well. So you begin your education, you begin to grow up, and you're obviously athletic.
Oh yes, very.
Very athletic. Did you play ball and other sports?
I played baseball.
I was going to say it had to be baseball.
Yes, I love baseball. Yes,
Yeah.
and I played a little football, but I didn't like it.
Well, you're not a large guy.
No. So
Football
I just have to be
is
fast.
fast, but not large.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So baseball would have been an obvious sport for you. Swimming was good up.
Oh yes, sir.
That kind
Yes,
of thing.
sir.
Well, how long did you live in Texas?
Okay, so I lived there until I was 12 years old.
Okay.
That's when my mother was able to get out of Cuba.
Okay.
And the Heisers actually wanted her to come there, and she would have been fantastic there because they were taking care of her. Because these people were so loving, Jeff, you have no idea how loving these people are. So they wanted, but again, the social worker said, no, we got to separate them because you had temporary adoption, and we want them to get adopted to their real parents again.
Yes.
So they separated us.
That had to be difficult.
That was another difficult moment in my life, Jeff. Now I have to leave another world behind.
Yeah.
That I had already adopted to, and they put me in a plane, and I flew into Kennedy Airport in New York City.
Wow.
And as I'm getting out of the plane, Jeff, and I'm getting chill now thinking of this. As I'm getting out of the plane, I'm walking. Because, the stewardess were holding me and they were taking care of me and everything. All of a sudden, somebody turns me around and just grabs me and hugs the breath out of me.
Yeah.
And that was Mama.
Oh, my God.
Oh, Jeff, that was a moment that you can't believe.
I can't believe it.
And I looked at her and tears came in my eyes, and her tears came in her eyes. And you know what, Jeff? I couldn't understand her. I had forgotten Spanish because I learned all this English and I had to put it into practice.
Amazing.
It was so, but I felt her love. It was,
Oh, sure.
She almost crushed the breath out of me at the hug she gave me, Jeff.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine how she missed me. And I was her only child.
Wow.
So that began another stage of my life. My journey with and that's why I help a lot of single parents, because I know how hard it is.
Yeah.
Anytime I can help a single parent, I do, because it's just difficult.
So you were how old at this time?
12 years old.
12 years old.
12 years old, yes.
Wow.
And my mom, like I said, she had an eighth grade education. She didn't speak the language, so she had to work in this place called a sweat factory, which was sewing.
Yes.
And she had to make a lot of these things, patches for our military and everything like that,
Yes.
to make money. So she would break her fingers. So she was struggling to pay the bills, Jeff. So at the age of 13, I started working.
Yes.
And haven't stopped since. And I tell people, when there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
Because nobody was hiring a 13-year-old kid.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So I made it happen. I went down to this place that we lived in. By the way, I thought I was in another country when I moved up there. I did, because I was all of a sudden in these huge buildings, people living on top of each other, coming from a suburb in Lubbock, Texas. It was
a whole new world.
Yeah, it was a whole new world. So I thought I was in another country. Wait. So I was feeling kind of strange to begin with. But anyway, I go down to the store and I get a dust mop and I start cleaning the shelves, right?
Yeah.
And the owner goes, "Alexis, what are you doing?" Because I lived upstairs.
Yeah.
I go, "Sir, my mom's struggling and she needs help, and I'll keep this place spotless and you can pay me whatever you want so I can help her."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the man was so impressed by me. He goes, "Oh, Alex, okay, here, I got your job."
Yeah.
And he started letting me even put the prices on the thing. So I got a new job at the age of 13. And from there, I went to another job as a doorman in this restaurant. For the Major D. Party of 3, party of 4.
Yeah.
And from the doorman, I went to be in Major D.
Okay.
So one job led to the other.
Sure.
In other words, I made it happen, Jeff.
Sure.
And I paid for my karate lessons because my mother couldn't afford it. Which I'm gonna tell how that kept me out of trouble too. Which I give this gift to the children too, to keep them out of trouble today too, because kids today are struggling so much.
Yeah.
I mean, they're on these iPhones, or the media is putting so much stuff into the mind that's scary, Jeff. So it's a blessing for me to be able to help them keep these things out of the mind. Because I tell everybody, what's the easiest thing to get into, but the hardest thing to get out of? And that's your mind.
Yeah.
Because once you put something in your mind, it's very hard. Because a lot of people are even struggling with that today as adults, to get the past out of their mind.
Yep.
So it's a blessing for me to be able to help them. And what helped me stay out of trouble up there, because remember, Jeff, I was being raised by a single mother.
That's true.
And I could have gotten into trouble because I was in rough neighborhoods up in New York and New Jersey, let me tell you. I mean, there was street gangs, there was this and that, So it was very easy for me to get into trouble. But I was blessed enough to I actually took Aikido first because my instructor, Master Peter Urban, wasn't taking kids. So I started with Aikido first for about 3 years until after 15, Master Urban was taking adults, and I joined his class. But what I'm trying to say is, because me wanting to become so good at martial arts, it kept me off of drugs, kept me off of gangs, kept me off of a lot of trouble. Because I realized that today, that being a single parent, you can't always take care of your child, especially if you're working and struggling to work.
Right.
So I had to grow up and help my mother in so many ways that it gave me the freedom to choose to be bad or choose to be good.
Yes.
Because life is about choices, by the way, Jeff.
That is true.
You can choose.
That's absolutely true.
And I tell everybody, out of all the choices we have in life, you should always choose to be kind, no matter what. No matter how the other person is, you should always choose to be kind. Because being kind makes you the most beautiful person on this planet. Believe me, no matter how you look.
Yeah.
And also, even to be happy on this planet, you have to choose to be happy. Because it's a choice.
Yeah.
And I've had to do that many times in my life.
I bet.
To struggle, and to be strong. So I bestowed that upon the children today, to try to help them keep off the media and give them a path that's a very rewarding path, keep them off of drugs and all that,
So you started karate at around what? 13, 14, 15?
Around 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah, just before I was turning 13, I started martial arts.
Yeah.
And Aikido.
That's an impressionable age. You're hitting those teenage years. You begin to really form who you're going to be. It starts before then. But,
Yes, sir.
But those years are critical years.
They are critical. I'm going to tell you an incident that happened to me when I was in middle school. and martial arts actually helped me out.
Okay.
I lived about, I'd say about 3 blocks away from the school, so I was walking home one day to the house, and this is what we were, what is it called, a volleyball or something, where you throw the ball and try to hit somebody on the wall and get them out or something like that?
Dodgeball.
Dodgeball, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So we were playing dodgeball, and me and Dominic, I remember Dominic, he was a good friend of mine, we had some power, you know.
Yeah.
So I throw this dodgeball at this person. He ducks instead of runs, and I hit him in the head. So he got upset with me. It wasn't my fault, and he was a gang member, a leader.
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
So there was revenge there.
Yes.
You know. So I'm walking home by myself with my books, you know, and all of a sudden I hear my name called, and I look back, and there was about 5 or 6 guys behind me with the kid that I hit.
Yes.
You know, calling my name. He was the gang leader.
Oh, wow.
So it was a scary moment. So, you know, I see that and I know exactly what's happening. So I start walking faster, Jeff.
Yes.
But they catch up to me because, you know, I was afraid. I was a kid.
Sure.
And I was like a brown belt at the time in martial arts, you know. So he grabs me, Jeff, by the shoulder in the back, turns me around and hits me. I guess what you call a sucker punch or something like that.
Yeah.
Unaware, which I teach kids how not to do that anymore because, you know, live and learn. But you know what? When he hit me, all happened, my face or my chin just went like this. And I looked at him and he's going, ow! So I said, oh my gosh, I must have an iron chin.
Yeah.
Because this kid just hit me with everything and he didn't hurt me. And that gave me the courage of God. You know what I'm saying? I said,
Yeah.
And I said, oh my gosh. So the only thing I could think of is while he's doing this, I grab him by the groin area. I used to take it, I pick him up, lift him, and I threw him over, and he landed up in a garbage can. With his feet hanging, you know? But I didn't have to hurt him. And that's why I tell people, the more you learn about martial arts, the less you have to fight. Because you can end the fight like that.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why it's not about fighting, it's about anything. It's about how not to fight. That's what martial arts is about, you know?
Yeah.
But,
you know, so many people have that solely confused.
Exactly.
Especially, you know, when I was growing up, you know, we watched the kung fu movies, and
Yes,
we watched all the fight moves and the fight scenes, and there was, what was his name that was so famous?
Bruce Lee?
Bruce Lee.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
and the Bruce Lee movies and all that kind of stuff. So we have this Hollywood idea of what of what karate is.
Yeah, no, it's you know, violence is totally the difference of what karate is. It's nothing about violence at all. It's about learning why not to fight. That's what true karate is.
Yeah.
You know, the reason why you don't fight.
Yeah.
And even when you become a warrior, is what I call it, a top-notch martial artist, you always choose peace over anything.
Yeah.
Because you always keep because the best weapon you have on this planet, Jeff, also is a calm mind.
Yeah.
Any decision you're going to make in life, always make it with a calm mind.
Yeah.
And you never let anybody take your peace of mind away.
Yeah.
You never do that.
So you studied for years. You were in New York. You were going to school.
Yes, sir.
You're a teenager. You're working.
Yes, sir.
Helping support your mom.
Oh, yes.
And your family. Of course, you and her, your only family, right?
Yes, sir.
At that point.
At that
Then
point.
did you get to stay in touch with your adopted family?
That is another issue. They didn't let us do that.
They didn't let you.
They let us do that. I couldn't.
Really?
Yes, because they wanted us to completely see. Because when they signed in those days, when you signed those adoption papers, they were totally temporary.
Yes.
So, and the agreement was once your real parents came out, you were supposed to separate completely. And I mean completely.
Wow.
So
That had to be hard.
That was hard because let me tell you what
For
happened.
both them and you.
Yes. You know what happened to Karen, my adopted mother, when she put me on the plane, Jeff? John had to come and grab her. She couldn't let me go.
Yeah.
Even though she had 5 kids, other kids of her own.
Yeah.
She could not let me go because she fell in love with me. And I know what it is because I've had the blessing in my life to raise two adopted children, you know, stepchildren
Yes.
that were my biological children. And I fell in love with them just like I fell in love with all my children.
Yeah.
You know, and so I know what that was like for her to have to let go too. You know, because I fell in love with all the kids in my class. They're my children.
Yeah.
You know, you just can't help it. If you're a loving person, that's the way it happens, you know?
Right.
So for her to let go of me, John had to literally grab her and Karen, come on. So it was very hard for her to do that.
Sure. It had to be.
Yeah, and it was very hard for me to do that too.
Yeah.
So it was, like I said, I had to start a new chapter with my mom.
But again, you were faced with something you had no choice in doing.
Exactly. So you had to make it happen. Yeah. In other words, that's another thing a warrior always does. He always finds the positive and the negative.
Yeah.
Always. Because there's always positive and there's always negative. Otherwise, it won't be one or the other.
Yeah.
So that's what I had to do in my life. Always had to find the positive.
Yeah.
And that
Well, the positive in this case was the reuniting with your biological mother.
Oh, that was a blessing.
That was the positive.
That was a blessing. I didn't. After that, I've never separated from my mother until she passed 2 years ago,
Yeah.
which is very hard. But anyway, yeah, it was a blessing.
Yeah.
It was a blessing, you know.
Yeah. But now your father, he never came.
No, in the last time I saw my father was 4 years old, and while I was here, he passed away too in Cuba.
Okay.
He wasn't able to get out or anything like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
It was. So I never had a father except my adopted father,
Yes.
John. You know, that's the only father image that I had in my life.
Yeah.
You know.
And I'm going to make an assumption here. When you began to take the karate, you had some mentors.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I'll
yes,
make that
yes.
assumption.
Yes.
Can you tell me about some of those people?
Well, those people were very blessing in my life because they showed me discipline.
Yeah.
They showed me a great path in life, you know. And Master Urban and Claudio Gonzalez were two of my major teachers. And Claudio was another Cuban that came from Cuba.
Really?
Yes, sir. And he joined the police force in Union City, New Jersey, and actually became the first captain of the police force from Cuba there.
Really?
So he was a very good. We grew up together.
Yeah.
And we were all kind of like a little community. All these little Cuban kids from Cuba
Yeah.
living up there, you know, so we all became bonded and brothers in a lot of ways. So, and I could tell you another story about that, but yeah, they were all mentors of my life, and again, we all stayed in a good path because Master Urban was one of the first Americans to bring martial arts into the country. He was an amazing man. You can look him up on Facebook today in technology, Master Peter Urban. And he was a Navy intelligence officer during the Korean War. And you know what? While he was there, he joined the martial arts academy or school there. And that time, the Japanese didn't really like us Americans too much, you know, because
Yes.
prior to that, we had bombed the country, basically, you know.
Yeah.
So they were trying to do everything to get this American out of their school. So Urban had to be so powerful to stay in there, so good, and he became so good that Yamaguchi, having children of his own, when it became time to, demonstrate or go to a tournament, they picked Master Urban to represent the dojo. It was an incredible thing for them back in the days.
Oh, man.
Oh, so that's how good Master Urban was. That Yamaguchi picked him to represent the school, and that was an incredible honor.
Oh, really?
Yes, he was one of the first Americans to come here, which I just happened to be at the right place at the right time.
Yes.
And he opened his first school in Union City, New Jersey, which is where I was living at the time.
Wow.
So we all met him there. And he was the first American to come here with a 5th degree black belt. He was amazing, Jeff. He made a lot of good martial arts. So we were blessed. And, I mean, you can look it up. All the martial arts that came out of his dojo was amazing. All of us were famous martial artists. So he was a great mentor. He was a blessing in my life, too. Master Urban was a blessing.
How long did you do that? I mean, of course, I know you still do it today, but I'm talking about as a student.
As a student, well, I was 12, almost 13, a couple of months before I turned 13 that I started. And I think, oh God, I gotta go back. I got my first black belt about 7 years after that.
Okay.
So
a 7-year journey to a black belt.
yes, sir. Yes,
Wow.
sir. And that was not easy classes either, Jeff. In those days, it was 2-hour courses,
Yeah.
5 days a week. And we had to bring sweat towels because the sweat was amazing.
I'm sure.
You know? And when Master Urban and my teachers would say, see, today it's hard to get kids to work out, but I've learned as a teacher, you never make a child do anything. A good teacher inspires a child to do something.
Yes.
That's what makes you a great teacher. And that's what I've learned, because you don't make a child do anything. And that's why I tell parents, don't force a child to do anything, inspire them to do it, because once you inspire them, they're going to be great at it.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned through the years.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yes.
I agree with you. It's like it's like you can lead a horse to water thing,
Yes, sir.
but you can't make him drink. He's got to want it. You know,
Absolutely.
they've
Because
gotta
I
want it.
help kids with autism and all that. And parents, they say, how do you get my child to do anything? And a good teacher always gets to know their student first before he actually can teach them.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody's an individual. You don't treat everybody the same.
Yeah.
And you be very patient with them. You know, you inspire them, you love them.
Yeah.
You know, and you care for them like if they were your children.
Yeah.
So, and basically, all those years of training with Master Urban and everything taught me all these disciplinary qualities too.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a blessing in my life, and I couldn't have asked for better friends to be around to. All these little Cuban kids, like I told you.
Yeah.
We were all a blessing, and we all grew up together. And a bunch of us took the same route and became grandmasters of the martial arts.
Very good.
So we were in a good place. And I'm going to tell you something about back in the days when we first opened a dojo up there. We had to open a dojo in inner cities.
Okay.
Because they were cheap rent and karate wasn't as popular as it is today.
Yeah.
You know. So one day we were there, and in comes this street gang member with two other guys, you know, and big guys. And so, okay, what's this karate you opening up in our neighborhood here? What you say that you can defend yourself? We're here to challenge the teacher.
Yeah.
And now we're professionals, so we can't really hurt anybody because that's also business, you know.
Yeah.
So one of my friends that he's a friend of mine, Montalban, Sensei Montalban, Fidel Montalban, was an incredible warrior. So our friend had opened the dojo there in Queens, New York, in the inner city. So he says, I'm the teacher, knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to protect our friend, you know?
Yeah.
Because he was new, he had just gotten his third-degree background. So the guy says, okay, we're here to challenge you.
Really?
Yes. So Sensei Montalban says, okay. Hold on a minute. He goes back, puts on his gi, comes onto the floor, and he goes, all right. He bows to them. And he goes, all right, what's it going to be, you or the three of you? And the guy goes, no, just me. This is how confident this warrior was.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because, you know, we were good at what we did. Like I said, you know, when you become a good martial artist, it's not like the movies. If you get into a street fight, you blink and the fight's over. Because all it takes is 1 or 2 movements and the fight's over, Jeff.
Yes.
And it doesn't take much because we know how to put you down, you know. But anyway, so he goes, no, just me. So, you know what he does to this guy? This guy attacks him with everything he has, Jeff.
Yeah.
And he keeps missing him. And he keeps falling. And he keeps missing him. And all Sensei Montalban was doing, using what we call taizabaki, which is the art of getting out of the way of what's coming.
Yeah.
Okay, without
So he's not clobbering him, just letting him...
Just letting him fall and hurting himself.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, in about 3 or 4 minutes, this guy's puffing for air.
Yeah.
Because then he keeps falling. And then Sensei Montalban bows to him again. And he says to the guy, okay, are you ready now? The guy goes, what do you mean, are you ready? We've been fighting. You go, no, we haven't. Now I'm going to attack you.
Yeah.
And the guy I guess he opened up his mind because he said, oh my gosh, this guy was never attacking me. He gained this guy's respect without even hitting him.
Yeah.
By simply saying that. Because this guy knew now he's going to get his life put out.
Yeah.
And we got his respect.
Yeah.
So the martial arts helped us in a lot of ways and helped us in the communities in a lot of ways in that respect.
Sure.
We would open in bad neighborhoods and make them good neighborhoods. And parents would hug us, Jeff.
Yeah.
That we got their children out of street gangs. Gave them another path, you know?
Yeah.
So it was a blessing in our life to be able to help out. And it's a blessing in my life to be able to still touch all these children's lives in the ways that I do in a positive way, you know? And I always do it in the Word of God too, by the way, because a lot of kids are missing this.
Yes,
You know,
they are.
because
Sadly so.
Yes, because you know, I'm very inspirational. So I want to tell your audience one day this one time, okay? I tell everybody, when you see the moon, you see the beauty of God.
Yeah.
When you see the sun, Jeff, you see the power of God.
Yeah.
But you know what? When you look in the mirror, Jeff, you see his best creation. So you enjoy yourself today.
Yeah.
Because you are his best creation. He wants you to be happy. And always walk with him. You will be happy.
It's a positive message.
Yes, sir.
Very positive message.
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Just enjoy.
Awesome, good. Awesome, good. So you began teaching.
Yes, sir. In 76, I opened my first dojo.
1976.
Yes, sir.
Now this is maybe a foolish question to you,
Yeah.
but I know a little bit about that world to know that they have competitions.
Yes.
Tell me about that world.
Okay. Well, competitions was more of a commercial kind of thing.
Yes.
Because in reality, martial arts doesn't compete.
Yeah.
You know, because competition has nothing to do about defending yourself. It just, in other words, in competition, not always the best warrior wins. Because it's about point fighting. And you have to pull back, you can't hit the person hard. So it's about, just points. So we were, the real schools really weren't in competition that much.
Yes.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, there was an old saying one day that if you go by a dojo and you see 100 trophies, keep going.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Because they're all about the trophies.
Exactly. And the reflexes are not going to work because you're about muscle memory. when you're defending yourself.
Yeah.
When you go out and you get attacked, your body is supposed to protect you. But if you train it to hold back, that's what it's going to do in the street.
Yeah.
And you're gonna get beat up. You know what I'm saying? So you don't train for that all the time. Every once in a while, it's okay, but not to go to competition constantly.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to train for that. You know. So yeah, we competed, and I got disqualified once.
Oh no.
Because I was afraid, Jeff. I was afraid. They put me up against this guy that looked like a monster. And you see, I'm not a big guy.
Yes.
And I was afraid, so I just hit him the wrong way.
And you're out.
And I'm out. I was out of that competition. Yes, sir. Because in those days, we didn't wear a lot of equipment.
No.
We just wore a little hand pad to keep our tough knuckles from actually hitting each other,
Right.
So I was a little afraid, yeah. And I tell everybody, fear is in your mind, but what you need to conquer fear is courage.
Yeah.
Because courage is not the absence of fear. It's the ability to do what's right in the face of it.
Yeah.
That's what courage is. Because we all have some kind of fear.
Sure.
But we can control it, and do the right thing. Don't let it control you. Yeah.
So how long were you up there before you began to move around? Because you moved.
Yeah, I did.
You were in New York, New Jersey,
yes, sir.
Queens.
Yes, sir.
And so what got you out of the north and headed south?
Okay, well, that's another story. I got married, and I had two beautiful children, and I don't know if I want to tell the story, but I had to move to Miami for certain reasons.
Yes.
And that's when I opened my other dojo in Miami.
So you opened in Miami?
Yes, sir. I was actually the leader of the YMCA there, the head instructor of the YMCA. I started with the YMCA to help all the children there too. Yeah. Young Men's Christian Association, it's called the YMCA.
Yeah.
And I started there, and but before that, let me tell you a story about a miracle, Jeff.
Okay.
I was also a floor manager at the Hilton Motel in New York, because I was into hotels and stuff. I also studied a little hotel management. So I was working there. And remember, I hadn't seen the Heisers in all these years. I was like 21 years old when this happened. And I get this impulse, Jeff, that I got to get in my car and go see the Heisers.
See the what?
The Heisers, John and Karen Heisers.
Oh, yeah.
My adopted parents.
Family.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I get this impulse out of nowhere. And remember, I hadn't contacted them all these years. So, it's lunchtime. I get in my car. I go to the bank. I withdraw some money. I go to my house and I tell Mom, I got to go see the Heisers. And I don't know why, but I have to see them.
Yeah.
So I called this friend of mine, Vinny, and I said, hey, listen, I'm doing this. You want to go with me? It was okay. So he gets it. I go pick him up, and we head to Texas, where the last place I remember the Heisers living.
Yes.
Okay. And it took me about 3 days to get there. It was a long journey,
So you drove?
Yes, sir, I drove.
Okay.
So I get there, and they had these phones that you had to drop, I think, a dime or a quarter into, so
payphone.
Yes. So I remember John was the chairman of Dutch Boy Painting back in the days.
Okay.
So I look in the yellow pages, which people don't know what they are today, for the local Dutch Boy Paint, and I see the number and I call, and the person on the other side answers, and I go, hello, is John Heiser there? And he goes, no, but hold on, I go, is he still working for Dutch Boy Paint? He goes, oh yeah, but hold on, I'll get him for you. So he gets John on the phone, and John answers, and this is giving him another chill.
Yes.
Because, so John, I said, John, is this John? He goes, yeah. I go, John, this is Alexi. And there was a moment of silence.
Yeah.
And he says, is this my Alexi? Oh, yeah. I was so happy he remembered me.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
I mean, so happy after all these years. And I go, yeah. And he goes, Alexi, where are you? And I'm sorry. And I told him where I was in the little town I was. Oh, you're not too far. Listen, this is my address. And back then we'd have Google and all that, so I had to stop gas stations to find out where I was going.
Yes.
That's questions,
that used to be the old way to find out.
Yes, sir, exactly. So he says, how far can you get here? I go, I'll come over right now, John. I'll come over right now. So he goes, oh, great. Okay, come over. So, I had been on the road. I was rugged. I needed a shower. I needed to get freshed up because I hadn't seen this family in a long time. I wanted to look my best.
Yeah.
So I told Benny, I go, okay, this is our plan. Let's get there, see where they live, go rent a place, take a shower, freshen up, and then go see them. But as I drive by their house, oh my gosh, the whole family's in the front yard waiting for me.
Really?
Even Tommy, a child that they had after I left, that even knew me. I was their big brother from New York. He knew that's how much they talked about me. But anyway, I get there, so we have to stay. We couldn't leave. So we got out of the car just like that, and everybody hugged me.
Yeah.
Jeff, everybody. But there was one person missing, Jeff. Karen, my stepmother.
Really?
John takes me, after I hugged my whole family, into the living room and sits me down and puts his arms around me. He says, Alexi, do you still believe in God? And I looked at him and I go, of course, John. Why? He goes, because after you called me, I called the hospital and talked to Karen's doctor about you. Because for the last 3 days, out of her beautiful children, Karen has been in a coma.
Oh,
and
wow.
the only name she's been calling is yours.
Really? Really?
The only name she's been calling is yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was God telling me, go take care of Karen.
Yeah.
Jeff, out of nowhere. Because I even called my boss in the hotel at lunchtime, telling him, listen, I'm not going to be coming back. I told him what I was doing.
Yeah.
And that was another blessing even. He goes, Alex, don't worry about it. You'll still have a job when you come back.
Yeah.
That was a blessing in itself.
Yeah.
God saying he's protecting me. So we go to the hospital. And I see Karen laying, that's just giving me another chill, by the way. I see Karen laying there with her eyes closed. And the more you're in a coma, the worse it is for your mind, and stuff. That's what the... So I get in there, I get under the sheets with her, and I give her a son, mother, love, hug.
Yeah.
She wakes up the next morning.
Really?
And the doctors couldn't believe it.
Wow.
They couldn't believe it.
Wow, what a story.
I'm telling you, it was a miracle. God told me to go there because I had no other reason.
Yeah.
No, I just felt it.
Yeah.
It was him telling me, Alexi, go take care of Karen. And guess what? I had to stay there for 3 months, and I still had my job.
So you stayed a while?
Yes, I stayed on because she didn't want to let me go. And
Wow.
then, while she recuperated everything, and it was like I said, there's miracles, guys.
Yeah.
Just listen, get that feeling. And I always tell people, when you don't feel peace, it's God telling you something is wrong. When you feel peace, it's God telling you you're making the right choice.
Yeah.
So just listen to that.
Yeah.
Listen to your peace,